Hey everybody, it's Alex here from RPG Site with a quick look at something a little bit different. Some hardware, a gaming mouse I've been using for a little bit now. This is the Mad Catz RAT ProX gaming mouse. It's a real interesting piece of kit, which is why I thought I'd show it to you. A little bit different to some of the stuff that this company has previously done, but also in line, it's an evolution of what's come before. Because this is not the first mouse in the RAT range. Should be noted, I am going unscripted here, so I may meander a little bit. But first thing to note is obviously how it looks. It's a really unique design. I always like to think of the RAT range as looking a little bit like the Batmobile from the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. And although this now has these green accents, which aren't very Batmobile, it still has that sort of look. You can see you've got sort of metal parts as part of the build. It's a real sturdy thing. I feel compelled to point that out. But the big thing about these mice is customization. It's an interesting thing that a lot of gaming mice do, but rather than focus on basically, what colour the LEDs light up and stuff like that, this is much more focused. So it's all about adjusting your actual experience and what you can do with the mouse. So, where to begin? I suppose the smartest place to begin is with the palm rest. Now, the palm rest can actually be pushed forwards and backwards with ease. If I take it off entirely, you'll see that there's sort of notches and grooves which determine how many different spots you can move it forward and back. It doesn't give you a lot of freedom, but it gives you just enough where if you've got a slightly bigger hand, you can actually make it more comfortable for yourself. Now, this, obviously, this mouse, it's got this on the bottom. You see you've got a screw there. You can tighten that up and you can shift it back and forth, which basically lets you tilt in that way, which is really handy as well. But what if you don't like this? What if it's too high or whatever? Here's where this comes in. This is the set of things that the mouse ships with. And in amongst all that, you have these two. So these are actually two new palm rests. This one obviously has holes in it, which makes it better for breathing, better, less sweat if you're a sweaty person. And this one is whole, but it sits a lot lower than the default one. And these actually are simple to put on as just lining them up and slotting them into place. And again, these can move back or forwards in place. So that's really cool, really useful. You can basically customize the mouse to your own tastes. Beyond that, the next thing I'd talk about is the side panels. So the side panels, this is actually a feature on previous RAT models, but it comes with like a key, and you can literally just slot the key in place and just begin unscrewing. And this is a live demo, and these screws go deceptively deep. And then it comes away, and you can see that side thing is now gone. So what you can do is, again, in that box of tricks, they have alternate ones. So you can see this one here has a full size rest to put your little finger on. If you prefer to just have a lip, this one you can see just has a lip where it sits on. And all you would do is take the screw out of there, pop it into this one, and then pop it in place and screw it in. Really, really easy. There is also a third one, which a lot of people I think might prefer, which literally just has no lip at all. So if you like to let your hand droop onto the actual mouse mat or the desk, you can do that as well. And again, that just slots into place. The same also exists for the other side of the mouse. But one of the interesting things here is it does have some buttons. So there is technology in here, and it ships with two different modules that can slot onto there in place of that in that one or another one rather. So it's not free, it's two. It's 1 + 1 extra. Whereas this side you get one and then you have two extra. So that's that, and those are the features that were available on the previous models of the RAT gaming mouse. But now we get down to some really different and slightly crazy stuff. So if we turn the mouse over, you can see obviously here you've got your mouse sensor, you've got these panels. Now the first thing that you can do is remove these panels. They're just magnetic, so you can see there's magnets there. They just literally click into place, and they are very sturdy once they're clicked into place. They haven't fallen off on me without me actually wanting to take them off once. And they just come away, and that's that. Now, beneath that then, you have the mouse sensor. And this is where the rat, it's actually something that Mad Catz, I believe, have patented. You know, that they think this is a big idea that could become something bigger. And that is that the mouse sensor can just come away. So if you were to go and buy one of these, you actually get the choice between 3 different types of mouse sensor, all of which are, if you speak to people who are real mouse buffs, slightly better in slightly different circumstances. If you're using it for video design or graphic design, or if you're using it for gaming or whatever, so you have options. This one is just one of the basic 3 that it ships with. And yeah, so that means you can basically slot one out, slot another one in. If you want a different type of sensor because you're playing a shooter instead of doing graphic design, or instead of playing an MMO, which obviously has much less mouse movement, you can swap it out. Doubly interesting is, you see there's a little green button here? That's actually for cycling through the different presets. So when you create presets in the software that ships with this, which is alright software, it's got the usual sort of slightly bloated edge about it that a lot of this mouse software has. Once you've set those presets, you can have them stored on here and change between them with no software required on the computer end. So that means once you've set your presets, if you want to uninstall that software, you can. Or if you want to take this to a tournament or to a friend's house or whatever, all your presets are still there. Better still, the presets are actually stored in the module. So that actually means that, you know, if you are if you've got multiple modules for multiple different purposes, yes, you can store different sets of presets on each one and swap them in and out. And as you see, it's really easy. Again, it's magnets, so in it goes and click, it's in place, and that will now work perfectly. Now, it's worth talking also about those back panels. So you might see this one here says the word ceramic on it. Basically, that refers to this stuff here, the white bit, which is the bit that actually sits against your mouse mat. Now, it does come with a second set as well, which is a much more coarse sort of material. So basically, this one will give you more friction against your mouse mat, and this one will give you less. So there's even choice there. And then, you know, again, once you have decided which you want, they slot into place really easily, and that actually helps also to ensure the sensor remains in place even if the mouse has a bump and, you know, the magnet feels a bit loose. So yes, there is one more little interesting feature on this thing. If I flip it back over, as far as customization goes, you see you've got a DPI button there. I should point out the buttons while I'm at it. So you obviously got left click, right click. You've got a DPI switch which can go up or down and change between the different preset DPIs. Got a back forward and a precision aim button, which at its core is used to lower the DPI temporarily. So when you look down a sniper scope, you can squeeze that with your thumb and make it a little bit less twitchy. But you can macro that to do whatever you want, basically. So it's essentially just another button. Now, the final button, of course, is this, which flicks up, unlike on most mice. So yeah, the scroll wheel flicks up. And you might notice there's a little red dot here on the scroll wheel. That actually, again, is for the key. So if you push the key into there and begin to turn it, what that's done is tightened or loosened the friction on the wheel when you turn it. So you see now when I'm turning that wheel, it's turning with absolute ease. Now if I pop the key in and tighten it up a little bit, you can see it's moving a little bit less freely. If I keep going, now you can see it's actually clicking quite loudly as I force it to move because it's got a lot of friction. So you can actually decide exactly how much friction you want on your mouse wheel, how much clickiness you want, and you can change it on the fly. In addition to that, the box of tricks, as I keep calling it, does include a couple more rings. So basically, you've got that one's metal and it's a bit thicker. This one's metal and it's a bit thinner, but it's sort of got a raised ridge. Do you see that? And this one is just flat out rubber. And I'm not going to do this on video because it's quite a pain to get off and back on. It'll probably take me ages. But the long and the short of it is, you can swap that out for either of those two at ease and based on what you prefer. Like, I actually quite like the feel of the metal one, but if you don't like how cold the metal is on first touch or how warm it gets after you've been using it for a while, you may prefer to have the rubber one. You may prefer to have the raised ridge one so you can feel out where the wheel is a little bit easier without having to glance at it. That's your choice. As I mentioned earlier, software-wise, it's a pretty standard thing. You know, it has a sort of, I often find these mice have a slightly garish look about the software that comes with them. This is no exception, but you know, you don't have to use it that much thanks to the preset thing. It also comes with, I should point out, a nifty little carry case. Slight criticism about the carry case is that obviously there's only enough room in the carry case for the mouse in whatever current configuration you're using. So all this extra stuff here, which is now all been pulled out of the case, you can't carry with you unless you carry this and the carry case, which is a bit of a shame because it means you pick your setting and then you stick with it. Whereas I would have liked to be able to carry around the extra stuff. So if I wanted to change on the fly, I could quite easily. So yeah, this is a cool thing that's well worth your time if you're serious about your PC gaming and use a mouse a hell of a lot. Even good for, you know, stuff like I said, like graphic design and stuff like that. One thing I have to say is the build quality genuinely is quite surprisingly excellent. I feel like you could drop this a number of times and not have any issues. Mad Catz has certainly come a long way from the N64 controllers that they used to be infamous for. This is a really, really sturdy piece of kit. And I should say also, I have been using the predecessor to this mouse, the RAT 7, for quite a long time now, for like 3 years perhaps, and it's still in great condition other than, you know, just some of the finish starting to wear away just from the sheer amount of use it's got. So yeah, it's a really, really nice piece of kit. It's I really, really do recommend it. It is on the expensive side, so it really is only for the absolute hardcore. But I think you've probably seen in this video, you do get quite a bit of bang for your buck. Now, the previous RAT models, there was an MMO specific one. Hopefully, being an RPG site, we hope that they will maybe look into doing that for this, because I think that'd be great, an MMO specific one with more MMO buttons, configurations, that sort of thing. But for now, this is a really cool piece of kit, and hopefully it does quite well for them. So yeah, that's it from me for today. Be sure to stick around for more coverage of the best role-playing games and any hardware and peripherals that make sense alongside that. I'll see you next time.